Hi there, I want to welcome you to today's episode, and we are talking about the Equifax Data Breach. And you may be saying, well, Susan, why are we talking about that? Well, let me say this. On these Mondays, I talk about productivity. And have you ever had credit card theft or identity theft? If the answer is yes, then you know it is one of the biggest things that will take you out of production. There is no question. So, there are lots of people talking about what it is you're supposed to do and how do you protect yourself. Well, let's talk about what it is and why it matters. So the Equifax data breach affected 143 million people. And you may have already gone online to see if you've been affected, and maybe it came up that you weren't, or it was uncertain. But here's the thing to know, just because that data was hacked a little while ago doesn't mean they've used it. So you could still be vulnerable. Your credit card, your social security number, and even if you are not in the United States, and I know many of you aren't, you might be vulnerable as well. Why? Because if they can breach a massive company like Equifax, they can definitely breach other things as well. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about 10 simple strategies that are common sense. And just because something's common sense doesn't make it common action. And on these Mondays, if you're new to this, I always try and provide very simple things that are cost effective that you can implement to help you become more productive, because our mission at my company, Step Into Your Power, is help you become more productive so you can lead a ridiculously fulfilling life. And if you don't know me, my name is Susan Sly, and in addition to running businesses and life, I have 5 kids, and on these Mondays, I come to you just with whatever that you've been talking about or things that are in the news that are relevant to help you as a small business owner, an entrepreneur, a solopreneur, someone who's in the U economy, or maybe even someone who's self-employed. Really take it to the next level. So with that, let's get into it. So the first one that I want to read to you is find out if you were effective. So you can go onto the Equifax site. You can find out if you were one of 143 million whose data was claimed by the hackers. Now, I will tell you, my friend Sam Richter, who is a Wall Street Journal best-selling author, he is also just a phenomenal person. And he went on the site, he put in a fake SSN, and it came up that he was not breached. So he actually used fake information. He wrote about it on his blog on samrichter.com to see. So just because you're searching doesn't mean it's accurate. And again, guess what? Just because you show that you haven't been breached doesn't mean that those hackers have used your data yet for anything. So you have to check often. That's the first thing. And I would encourage you to also go to the FTC site, because they have some amazing, amazing tips on there. That's the Federal Trade Commission. So find out if you've been breached. The next thing is on Equifax, you can sign up for free credit monitoring for a year. So what Equifax did, and just so you know, it's a little bit, not the greatest thing in the world. Initially, they wanted to charge you for credit monitoring after they had the breach, but there was a lot of pressure from Congress and other government organizations and watchdogs, and they took it down. So it is free for a year. However, you could potentially be at risk for an automatic charge at the end of the year if you do put in your credit card information. So you should not have to in order to get the free credit monitoring. Hopefully that's helpful. The third thing is signing up with a third party like LifeLock or Experian. So I wanted to go on LifeLock this morning, as I knew I was going to be doing this, and I wanted to test some things out and take a look at things. They told me I'd be on hold for 62 minutes. Now, I teach my students and my clients that if you're going to be a millionaire, your time is worth $500 an hour. So really, 62 minutes. They haven't implemented something that other companies like United Airlines have, which is that if they aren't able to speak to you at the moment, they'll call you back as soon as your number comes up in the queue. Shame on you, shame on you, LifeLock. I don't know what to say. You're going to be making a lot of money because more people are signing up for your service. Serve your customers. That's what I want to say there. The fourth thing is change your password. Some of you, God bless you. I know you've been using the same password for things since you were like 16 years old, and it's time to stop. Your password should be definitely complicated, and it should contain It should be alphanumeric, small case, uppercase letters. It should have numbers. It should have symbols, and it shouldn't spell out any words whatsoever. It needs to be a minimum of 8, 10, if not more. And you need to change it every 90 days. And so, I know people are like, Susan, so many passwords and you're using the same password for everything. Stop it. Don't. In fact, my passwords are so complicated, I don't remember any of them, not one of them, right? So especially for sites that may have your credit card information. And just so you know too, I'm just looking at some of my notes that I prepared for you today, is when you're changing these passwords that it is so important that you do make sure that they are in these alphanumeric strands, that you're the only person that knows. I teach my students, this is the 5th point, to keep their passwords safe and secure in a physical book. Go to Staples or wherever it is you shop, get an old-fashioned telephone book, one of those little books, write down your passwords for everything. Keep it in a safe. So God forbid, if something happens to you, you're going to have the ability for people to know, whoever it is, that where your passwords are for things. I had a friend, and this is a great point, where she had been keeping her passwords online, and that site got hacked, and guess what? With it, all of her data. So don't store your passwords online. And the other thing that I want to say too is when you are using website browsers like Google, you have the ability to turn off that Google saving your passwords for certain sites. And so I recommend that you do keep that turned off. So you're not just going to a site and it's like automatically entering because your password is saved, especially for sites that have credit card information. So let me give you an example. With Facebook, they might or they might not. If you're a business on Facebook, they will have your credit card information stored somewhere. If you are just a personal user, they aren't going to have your credit card information. So you can maybe have those ones saved. But I recommend, if you're doing any online shopping or anything, do not save the passwords and do not save your credit card information in those sites, because many sites, Target has been hacked before. I believe Home Depot was hacked before. Do not save your credit card information in sites. Why would you do that? Just, it doesn't make any sense. The next thing is clear your cache. Google made some changes not that long ago. So it used to be that you would go into Google and there was a thing called history. It's just clear browsing history. You have to look at something, I believe it's called other now, and you go in and you clear your cache. Now, some of you, if you're like me, it's a pain to clear the cache, because once you clear it, and you should clear any cookies, any browsing data, all of it. Once you clear it, here's the fun thing. Yes, all your stored things are in there, so you have to go do it again. And my other thing I want to say about Google, and I love Google, when it says, do you want me to save your credit card? The answer is no, no, and no. Please do not do that. And I know some of you are like, Susan, this is common sense. I have trained thousands of students and clients in my Organize Your Life programs for entrepreneurs, small business owners, and they don't know. They are so focused on building a business. This stuff is like stuff they don't even think about. That's why I'm breaking it down. So hopefully this is helpful to you. So the next thing is making sure that your cookies are blocked. So what sometimes that hackers will do is they'll kind of follow you around and have cookies on your site. So if you've ever gone to a website and then you go to the next website, like say you're on Nordstrom and you're looking at dresses, and then suddenly that same dress that you saw on Nordstrom followed you as you were going to whatever other site it was. It's because these companies have installed trackers so that whatever it is that you were looking at, especially if you abandon your cart, you put an item in the cart and then you don't actually purchase it. It's called abandoned cart in the sequence. It follows you. So it's like, hey, don't you want to buy that dress? Don't you want to buy that dress? And so if you block it and you're clearing your cache, then those ads aren't going to follow you. And just if ads can follow you, hackers can follow you, and they get to know. They follow you, what's your websites you go to, your banking sites, and all of those things. So you can actually browse incognito when you're going to your bank sites. And definitely, oh my gosh, this is common sense. This is probably my, I have to add this one, 11th one. Do not do any banking or go to any sites that require credit card information on public internet. That's the other thing. A lot of you will do that. You'll just go to Starbucks and be like, oh, I'm shopping, da, 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 and enter because you're on the free Wi-Fi. Stop that, because that's a very easy way for hackers to get your information. And hackers can even be within a very close distance of you. I actually keep my passport in a silver lined passport holder, because hackers, what they'll do is they have special devices that if they walk by you in an airport or whatever, they can extract all your information, your credit cards and everything. So you need to keep them in those pouches and things like that. It's another way to protect yourself. The next thing is Equifax. If they call you, do not pick up the phone. So what the hackers are doing, and this was on Fox News today, is they are making up fake phone numbers, and the caller ID is going to show Equifax. You pick up the phone, they're like, hi, it's George calling from Equifax. Listen, we want to protect you. We just need some further information. It's not Equifax calling you. They're the hackers. So do not answer the phone. That's the first and foremost thing. You can call back the number. You do want to report it. The FTC does have, again, different mechanisms for which you can report things, but that's what they're doing. There's also an IRS scam where you'll get a robotic voice that says they're from the IRS, please call me, and they're calling, can you verify your social and everything like that. It's also a hacker. The IRS generally, if they want to speak to you, is going to send you a letter first and have you call them. So just so you know, these are some of the scams that are going on, and people can be so vulnerable. In fact, my friend, her mom returned one such call, gave all her information, and now has had full-on identity theft. It's awful. Get new credit cards. This is another thing. So one of the things I suggest, especially if you're in business, you're making a lot of transactions, it's a good idea to, if you think you were involved in the breach or it says that you were, cancel all your credit cards and get new numbers, because the moment that number is canceled, no one can use it. That's just common sense. I know it's a pain, but would you rather have someone getting a mortgage with your identity? This stuff happens, or buying a car with your credit? No. The next thing is reduce the number of credit cards. So any of my students know I am not a fan of store credit cards. So you shouldn't, yes, you shop at Pier 1, you have a Pier 1 card. You shop at Victoria's Secret, you have it. No. Sorry, businesses, I do not believe in that. Try and streamline your credit. So when something like this happens, you're not looking at all these different credit cards. It's so important you have a business credit card, one for each company you own. So I have multiple companies, I have multiple credit cards, one for each company, personal credit card, but that's it. Don't have all these different store credit cards. It opens you up to credit card theft, but it also opens you up to forgetting it and lowering your credit score and all that good stuff. Then checking your online banking credit cards daily. Guys, I can't emphasize this enough. As part of your daily method of operation, yes, if you have LifeLock, Experian, and I pray LifeLock, you get that customer care line shortened to less than an hour, because I need to talk to you and I'm not going to wait an hour on the phone. That's just ridiculous. That if you're going to use that, it's great. You're going to get notifications, but I think it's so important that you go in and check it on a daily basis. If you have something that you don't believe to be true, you need to shut that card down immediately. The other thing I recommend is any of your monthly recurring charges, that you print out your statement and you have a list of the monthly recurring, especially if you're in business. So if you have experienced fraud, it's not going to take you that long to get things up and going again. It is such a pain, honest to goodness, because any business might have 25, 30, 40, 50 monthly recurring vendors that they work with. And then suddenly you get credit card fraud. It's like, and it's happened to me. And the final thing I want to say, hopefully these have been some really good tips for you guys, but the final thing, for me, I've had this happen on so many occasions, and it's always the time that, I just like, oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of something, and then suddenly I look and there's a fraudulent charge on my credit card. I have to shut it down. I have to do all the PAPs. I have to do all of it. And it is such a pain. Sometimes you lose not just hours, you might lose days doing it. So I want you to be protected. I use all of these strategies myself, and it even happens to me. It's happened on a few occasions. So protect yourself online. Be really smart about it. Hopefully this has been helpful. If you like tips like this, check out my website, www.susansly.com. I write on productivity. I write on work-life balance. My next class, that Organize Your Life Business Academy, that is if you want to If you want to take your existing business and streamline it online, or you want to build an online business, that's for you. We want to teach you how to be self-sufficient doing that. And then my class OIL Fundamentals is coming up on January. If this has helped you, please share it. I read all of your comments. If you've got a comment, or if you've been affected by the breach, things you're doing that I didn't mention, I want to hear from you. I don't have all the answers. I have some of them, but anyway, I'm here to serve. So with that, God bless. Have an amazing day, amazing week, and I'll be here next Monday. Goodbye, everyone.